Just got dressed, need something to get into. Pretty girl on deck, she just wanna have fun too. She know how to roll one, if I need her to come through. Turn up, we best friends. All till we fall if she want to. Female version of
the Musty Man is back. And last week my girls held it down. I'm so proud of y'all. Y'all did what y'all supposed to do. But it's a bittersweet day, and the sweet part of it is that we have the first Black female head girls basketball coach for Proviso East High School. My baby, that's the sweet part. And then I want to pray for the Brown family, for Myrtle Brown, Nick Brown, Mario Brown, and Sergio Brown. I want to pray for that family. It's hard to talk about because our families were close. And I had a jacket made, and I put the Brown boys, Team Brown, and all of them boys were Brown boys. And their daddy was a special player. He went to Texas A&M, one of the first Blacks to go there. But, man, I'm proud. 717, thank you. Blue Note, thank you. You guys could book your parties with them and the whole 9 yards. And it looked like my co-host, Toya, she been traveling all over the world. She been in New Orleans, been to Detroit.
I was home last week, though.
Okay, and so what you do week before? What you do in Detroit?
Well, we did some of everything. I went to a casino, of which they got all of $50 from me. I'm not a gambler, and so I left like I came, basically.
Would you play the penny slots with
right? Actually, I played what is it called? It's Baccarat.
Oh, you didn't know. You really did play Baccarat.
I did play Baccarat. They had $10 tables.
Oh, you played five hands. That's all.
So that 50 was gone quick.
She played five hands. Because that's a good game. When I was a gaming agent out at Rivers, that's one of the best games to play.
It is.
But them guys, I saw one guy, he won $1 million playing blackjack on Thursday. Friday, he came back and he won $2 more million. Sunday, really? He lost it all. $3 million.
No
so I didn't see it all. That's why I don't gamble no more. I used to gamble real big.
That's an illness. There's no way you can lose that kind of money.
I went to.
They never would have saw me after that first million.
That first million.
And they're addicted. These guys are addicted. I've seen people lose their houses. I've seen people lose their marriages, relationships. I see people bring in the special needs. Yeah, they bring in special needs kids that they get them checks for.
Wow.
And make them hit them buttons. Oh, one dude, he was in there. He was in the wheelchair, neck down.
They make him hit them buttons.
Look, and this how he did it. When he did like this, his friend, whoever he was with, that young lady, she would hit the button for him.
He still was gambling. Though.
Yeah, he was gambling.
Right.
Lady Z, what's up?
I went to the south side of Chicago. No, I'm just playing. Y'all went out of town. I really was here. But no, I was a soccer mom this weekend. You know, my youngest daughter plays basketball, and she had a few tournaments. So that's a lot. Getting up 6 o'clock in the morning.
What
dropping kids off, picking kids up.
How's she doing in the sport?
She's doing good. I like it because she's having fun with it right now. I do feel like some of the kids, I don't think they've all been taught basic skills, and that matters a lot because, she's in 8th grade. At that age, I feel like they need to be prepared for high school. Some of them, they be letting them pass with the traveling and, you got to catch that
basics,
quick.
The principles.
And call them out on it because they ain't going to be able to pull it in high school. So.
Now, this young lady right here, she played at East. She went to Grambling State.
Oh, okay.
She got her degree from Grambling State. Now she's with, you say, the Mercer Foundation. You gainfully employed?
Mercer Health and Benefits.
Mercer Health and Benefits.
I'm an auditor.
And the head coach, it's a beautiful thing. The head coach for the girls basketball team at Proviso East. Now, she was just saying that her daughter, they don't do the fundamentals. What is your program going to be like? How are you going to break it down to the kids? I was there on the 10th.
Yes.
And I didn't make it on the 17th.
Yes. So I think what she said is completely accurate. We're starting to see a lack of fundamentals as kids are entering into high school. I mean, the level and the skill set that we had coming out of 8th grade, we were prepared to play in high school, but we had coaches, legendary coaches teaching us the fundamentals. I got the pleasure to play for the late, great Lawrence McCall.
Yeah.
You had the Robert Thomases and the Gene Mobes, rest in peace. But we're seeing a lot of that go away. We're also seeing a decrease in interest in girls playing sports, right? So what we're trying to do, we're trying to network with the area grade schools. I have some people that are very supportive in the background. We're trying to rebuild the feeder programs. I think when they reorganized District 89, that really hurt our sports in District 2 and District 209.
What you mean reorganized?
Because we had so many schools feeding into Proviso East. You had like 8 or 9 schools. And now that they've reorganized it with just the junior highs, you went from 100 kids playing sports every year to maybe 30, because now only Irvin and Stevenson have the schools. And then, you also, I don't want to forget Lindop. You have Lindop and Broadview. So those are really the only 3 schools with sports that are feeding into Proviso East. So I think we need to get back into building those feeder programs, starting with Biddy Ball, Danka with YDBL.
Yeah,
that's a great example of it. We need to start getting these kids, building the interest when they're young and teaching the fundamentals then. So that she's right. So that when they do get to high school, they're prepared to go and play at that next level.
Now, have you made a connection with some of the coaches on the grammar school level in District 89?
I have not reached out. I have not made a connection with Stevenson yet. I am working my way there. I've talked to the coaches at Irvin. Their girls basketball season is in right now. So we do plan on making some of those games. I believe Lindop's season starts in November. So we have reached out to them. Forest Park Middle School, we've reached out to them as well. I believe their season starts in November also. So we are trying to make those connections. We got started late in the summer. So the plan is to kind of network with them and help put on some of those grade school camps next summer. Hopefully get some grade school tournaments played at Proviso East so the kids can get exposed to that.
Right.
I remember when we were in District 89, the district championship was played at East. We always look forward to that.
Yes.
And they went away from that. So we're trying to, re-engage the community and bring back some of those old things where everyone was involved and try to increase those numbers and increase that participation again.
Man, sound like you got a plan, kid. I'm impressed with that. But at the end of the day, we were the ladies were talking about relationships, and sometimes when you make moves that people don't understand or people didn't expect, have you ran into a situation where because you became the head coach that some relationships have kind of diminished or went away or anything like that?
I see what you did there.
You knew that question was
Yes, I
Give
knew
us
that.
the tea.
I knew that question was coming up. Absolutely. There were some people that I expected to be supportive and happy. That wasn't the case. But I am just a believer that people's response is not a reflection of me. I know that when I entered into this endeavor, I had no ill will towards anybody. There was no snaking going on. God gave me a vision and a plan. God put me here for a reason. So we move forward.
He kept you here for a reason.
He kept me here for a reason.
Because you was in Dallas, you was a little bit everywhere.
Oh, I've lived
and
some
you
of
came
everywhere.
back home, yeah.
And thought there was a day and time where I thought that I never would come back home.
Okay, I'm glad you came back.
But I realized that all of us here have a purpose. We all have a plan. None of us are smart enough or dumb enough to thwart God's plans. What he has decreed will happen. So, we keep it moving forward. I have the amount of love and support that I have received has far outweighed any negativity, any lack of support. And that's what I choose to focus on. So,
yeah, and I know you, 2 of them for sure, Gloria and LaFonso.
hey, mom and dad. Hey, y'all, if y'all watching.
So, but
I think my dad's at church.
What are the challenges before you What are the things? I mean, because one, are they going to give you a position in the building, or are you going to still be able to work from home?
I don't know that they could afford to give me a position in the building.
Okay.
So I will
Know your
continue
worth.
to work from home. But I have been in discussion with just give me a desk. Again, I work from home. All I need is a laptop and internet access, because I do believe that a presence in the building is beneficial
Absolutely.
to the program. So I am working on working in the building physically, but not necessarily working in the
For the
building.
building.
For the building. Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, I'm just so happy for you, because to see a lot of people when I first came to Maywood in 1980, 81, whatever the case might be, a lot of people were talking about how students would go way to college and find a position where they were, and where they was trying to say, hey man, they should come back home. Well, you're a prime example, and this is a beautiful thing for the community.
Yeah, it was a very interesting journey back though. I mean, I left here in 2000. I was gone for 14 years. So
Yeah.
I moved back in 2014. But the best thing that I could have ever done. It was absolutely the best decision I could have ever made.
Okay. Well, now since we got we rolling with Deion Sanders
Yeah,
now,
got me all
and he
into
went
that,
to you was at Grambling State, and that was HBCU school.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn? What values did you learn at the HBCU school that you're going to incorporate and bring back to Proviso East?
I think the HBCU experience was great for me because we just, we learned a lot just about being proud of ourselves, right? Nothing against PWIs, right? But there
What's
is
a PWI? You got to educate.
I'm so glad you said something.
Predominantly
I'm over
white institutions.
absolutely
Oh, that's what I did.
first try.
Okay.
So HBCUs were created for us, by us, because at first PWIs didn't want us, right? And so just the community, the teachers, they wouldn't let us fail. It was almost like an elevated version of high school, right? How you had teachers back then that cared. Some of my closest relationships were built at Grambling State University. My best friend in the entire world, I met her at Grambling State University. It's just a oneness, a uniqueness, and even now, I graduated. In May it'll be 20 years that I graduated from Grambling State University. And if I'm anywhere with Graham fam paraphernalia on, you see people from all generations just happy and excited because it's all just one big family. I want to instill that pride, that sense of family, that community. Maywood is a village. I think it's time for us to get back to that, right? So one of the goals that we have, we're trying to re-engage the community. We're tired of our kids. They come out to play and compete and perform and the stands are empty. And it's not just about, well, I don't have a child that's on the team. Again, Maywood is a village, right? It takes a village to raise a child. If we don't do something quickly to cuff these kids and support them and show them that they matter and that they mean something to us, we're going to lose them.
You had a tough year last year, and I mean maybe a year before, because you had 3 or 4 students in the school that committed suicide, and then you had 2 of them that was on the girls' basketball team.
Yes.
That's a challenge.
Yeah, it was.
That's a challenge.
It was.
I mean, how did that affect you? How did it?
I think that's when I realized that this was real. This coaching thing was bigger than X's and O's and teaching you how to do a layup off the right leg, right? These kids are hurting. They're suffering. They're dealing with things that we had no idea of at their age, right? And they just want to be heard and understood and seen. And I think it's time for us to change our approach, not just with coaching, but just adults, period. Our approach with how we relate to these kids, right?
Yeah.
When we grew up, it was always do as I say.
Okay.
And I think our kids are watching. They're watching us more than they're listening. And we have to start operating from a do as I do mind frame, right? So I just wanted to be, I'm not here to change the world or do anything miraculous. I just wanted to be a positive change by being the example that I wanted to see.
Right.
Something that these girls could look up to, someone that has walked the halls that they walk. I grew up in Maywood, 21 blocks, 1506 South 2nd Avenue. And I made it.
There you go.
And it wasn't just me and my own, I had a huge support team.
Right.
My mom worked miracles to provide for us, but we also had people in the community that looked out for us too. And I think it's time that we get back to that.
Okay. So now with the girls and then you have to deal with those situations and you have relationship with the ball players. How do you handle getting them late calls at night? So I know you get them.
I do. And I had to learn this thing called boundaries, right? So when we
where are these late calls coming from?
From the kids.
Oh.
Listen, they will call and text you at any time of night if you allow them to. There's a great feature on your phone called Do Not Disturb.
Not the great feature.
You tough. You tough.
And for me, Sunday through Thursday, my phone automatically goes on Do Not Disturb at 9 p.m.
Call him back, Rufus.
Just stop. Just Rufus. Whoever Rufus is.
The old man name.
Do not disturb because, you're trying to, these like you say, these girls are hurting. So how do you know which phone call to answer?
Well, if it's an emergency, they'll call back and they can get through, right? If it's not an emergency, they'll get their voicemail and they'll know that coach will deal with it in the morning. There are plenty of times where I'm up at 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm a very early riser, so I go to bed early. But there are plenty of times I wake up in the morning to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock text messages coming in.
You do have to create boundaries.
You have to create boundaries. There was a point in time where I didn't, right? When we first were dealing with the losses, I didn't. And I went through a very dark time. Like I dealt with anxiety. I felt like if I went to sleep, I was going to lose another kid. Because every time I would go to sleep, I was waking up to a phone call that we had lost somebody. So I went through a period where I wasn't sleeping because the irrationality in my mind was saying, well, you got to stay up because if you sleep, something's going to happen. And so I had to work my way through that. I am a proud advocate of therapy. And then I had to start implementing boundaries, right? I'm not God. I can't keep anyone alive. I can make myself available. I can be here. I can hold space. But I also have to make sure that I'm holding space and taking care of myself, right? So I've implemented those boundaries. Again, if it's an emergency, they can get through. But if not, we'll deal with it tomorrow.
Okay. Well, that's good stuff. And Diamond, her niece played on the team. What
and she's one of my assistant coaches.
Oh, yay. Jesus, there you go. So when you were go see Diamond play,
yes,
she was the coach.
Yeah.
No,
she was
Diamond graduated in 2013.
Yes.
So I hadn't actually moved back yet. So my first season coaching at East was the 2014-2015 season.
Okay.
I just remember you being at some of her games. Maybe that was at Judson.
I would come home.
Yeah.
Right.
Family still. So when I would come home and visit, I would go and check out games. Yeah, but I didn't actually come back and move back to Illinois until 2014.
Yeah.
Okay. And the questions, I guess. You sent me a group of questions today because we were talking about relationships last week, and the ladies say,
male influence.
Yeah, well, this is why I'm here. This is why I was here. But Noelle, prior to you taking this position as the coach, how was your relationship? How were you dating? How was the dating scene for you?
CB, I haven't.
He's all in your
business. All in my
baby.
tea, right? My tea done got cold. Right. He trying to heat it up.
All in your business.
I would say in 2017, 2018, I intentionally took a year off from dating.
Okay.
Just because I felt like I needed to do some work within myself. The past few relationships prior to that were
Interesting.
Interesting, right? So I had to start asking myself, like, what is it in me that I'm attracted to this type of situation, right? And so I took some time off from dating. I did some soul searching, renewed my commitment to God, and I haven't been in a serious relationship since 2017. I've tried to date.
When you break up and you try to make up with somebody else, it seems like it's a struggle.
No, but I like what Noel said as far as you have to understand that if you have patterns with dating, then the common denominator, just like I said last week, is you.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out what part of you has to be healed to ensure that you don't continue, that you have the skills to disrupt that pattern. Because
absolutely,
if you're the common denominator, there's something that is in you that has to be healed. Or some people are just attracted to what they're attracted to. But you got to kind of it goes beyond the surface. You got to figure out, why am I attracted to this thing that at the same time may not be healthy, may cause me more grief than good. So I think that's a good point. When people are choosing a date, it's just not a choice that should be considered lighthearted. It's something that you should know that you're a healthy person going into it. And if you're not, know that you're not, and know that you need to kind of take a step back and do the work so that you can be better positioned to make better choices.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this.
Uh-oh.
Do you
my business.
Y'all, hey, listen, it's y'all topic. Now you talk about getting your business. Y'all talking about relationships. Hey, look, and I love it. I love every minute of it. Because
please take it off from me.
Relationships work different for everybody.
Yes.
Every relationship take a life of its own.
This is true.
So at the end of the day, when you say, you want to date, do you date multiple people? How does your job interfere with your dating? How does
I can definitely answer that.
See, I don't know how to date multiple people. I've never been able to date multiple people at the same time. I'm always like, if we're dating, I'm dating this.
But see, that's the thing. That ain't dating. That's what I was explaining to her last week. That's what people need to learn. That when you're dating, you're getting to know other people. Well, I wouldn't say other people, but you're getting to know that person, and you're getting to know yourself too.
Right.
And I don't feel like you could do that with just one person. People get caught up and they start throwing these titles around because you done went out on a couple of dates. Now we go together.
We do not.
It don't work that way.
But see, this is
if we didn't have clearly said it, we do not.
Right. But you can be dating, and it can be understood that we're entertaining other people, or you can
Definitely
be dating and
be
making
explained.
a personal decision between you all and say that we're only dating each other. I just think it's about communication and how you define it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people define dating as dating multiple people,
Mhm.
but some people say that we're dating, but I'm solely dating this person. It's just a matter of
to me,
you in a relationship.
So to me, dating is data gathering, right?
Yes.
You are gathering information. So I can be dating one person and we still not in a relationship, right? Because it's clear up front, we are attempting to get to know each other. It may start out texting. We may graduate to some phone conversations. Now we're hanging out. We're still dating.
Yes.
You are not my man.
You're not my boo.
Whether or not I am entertaining another man at the same time, even if it's just you are not my man until we have had that conversation and made that clear.
Right. Yes. And you know what? That makes a lot of sense, because in my situation it's a little different because I'm a little older.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I understood that in the last relationship, which was a marriage that I had, that I realized that I can't blame them for what I accepted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't blame them for what I tolerated.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely can't blame them for what I did.
Right.
So when I came to terms with myself after a divorce or whatever the case might be, I start to do better. Mm-hmm. I start to live better. I start to understand better, and respecting and hoping that they win. See, I like to see people win. I don't like to see people lose. But some people put themselves in a losing situation.
I agree.
If that makes sense. So now that you're the head coach and you got a job,
Not a job.
what your dating life gonna be like?
And they better come to some games and get some pom-poms.
Yes.
Look, listen, coach life is for real.
Yeah.
Even before I was the head coach, when I was the sophomore coach, my time was extremely, because I'm passionate about this. I tell people, coaching is my ministry, right? So
You love hard too.
I do.
And that's,
I do. And I feel a lot. And I'm an introvert. So a lot of times I have to take time to be by myself. So it becomes draining when I try to entertain multiple.
It's so weird that you say that you are. I mean, I can see how you may feel that way, but I would see you as being a sociable loner. Because you seem, I mean, you.
Oh, I have no
not
problem.
shy.
No, I'm not shy at all.
Yeah.
But I recharge in
she
solitude.
crazy. She ain't shy. She'll tell
Yeah.
you like it is.
Yeah, I recharge in solitude.
Yeah. But so when you look at the situation and you're a spiritual young lady and the book says that you got to be evenly yoked. What does that mean to you?
Well, first and foremost, for me, we have to believe and serve the same God, right? But then you can believe and serve the same God and still not be equally yoked. A lot of people, when we're out here dating, they're looking for compatibility, right? You could be compatible with a demon. Compatibility just means we like to do the same stuff, right? I'm also looking for someone that's suitable, meaning we like to do the same stuff and our purposes align, right? Because I believe God's main goal out of us is to get our purpose out, not to make sure that we wifed up and find spouses, right? So, like you said, I coach, I have a job, I have a lot going on. That takes a certain kind of man to understand that if we're not suitable, if our purposes don't align, and us getting together is only going to distract me or him from what we were put on this earth to do, then that relationship is not meant to be. I think two people come together because they can accomplish more together than they can separate. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Well, some people say that when you get tight as 10 toes in the sock, it's a financial deal.
I mean, I know a lot of marriages that are business arrangements. That to each his own. That's not what I'm looking for.
Definitely get a nerve.
Yeah, so I would agree that it's not uncommon to see couples that are together for the financial benefit of being together.
Yeah.
I don't want a loveless marriage, though.
I know.
I don't want a loveless marriage.
But the
Not at
question
all.
is how do you know?
How do you
do you
know?
mean?
How do you know? Listen,
Now I
feel?
understand
How
what
you
you're
feel
why you're
about a
asking that question.
how do you know if it's loveless? See, I think y'all said something.
Oh,
last
you're saying
week.
look from the
but-
outside looking in.
Yeah,
You're right.
I
You
mean,
don't know.
you don't know, but I'm just saying you want that. A lot of people want that perfect relationship, and I'll say this: in a lot of situations, a lot of women looking for Superman, and they walk past Clark Kent every day.
Okay, talk that stuff.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A lot of men walk past Wonder Woman, her title, and they walk past, and you focusing on the wrong stuff.
I agree.
How does social media influence relationships? What is it about you looking at Rihanna and you looking at Chris Brown, and then you look
I
at
hope you're not looking at them for relationship advice.
Please.
I'm just saying
That was
how
bad
relationship
conversation.
goes.
That was a bad example. We
No,
could've went
that was not an
anywhere else
example, but
one.
was that a
Domestic violence
relationship?
at its finest.
That was a relationship. You see how
very
it went.
toxic.
It went left. Then you got Jay-Z and Beyonce. They're in a relationship, and her sister wanted to beat him up. So how does social media affect relationships? Well, what is the influence is my question.
It's a big influence if you allow it to be, because some people are more concerned with the image than they are with what actually is going on behind closed doors. So as long as we can post up and
Mhm.
smile and go to eat and look like we having a good time,
Vacations.
we're the
Perfect
relationship
couple.
goals and
Yeah.
the perfect couple, but behind closed doors they're really struggling
And don't even like each other.
and really don't like each other. So how is that
I'm gonna kill
how
Snow.
is that going to have, what are we really trying to align ourselves with? If I'm looking at social media and I see a couple that appears to be perfect, but behind closed doors, they have their own personal struggles in their relationship. That's why I feel like you should define your own happiness. What you see is not always what you get.
Right.
And if we're looking at social media, it's all illusions. It's all illusions. Now, some people live their truth on
Yeah.
social media, but some people, I'm like, I know you in real life. That's not.
Yeah.
But see, even I posted something today in reflection to people are getting all excited over illusions and it's
Absolutely.
relationships and other things that don't even exist.
Yeah.
And they getting mad. They getting
Yes.
jealous over this kind of stuff.
Right.
So I think, in my opinion, I don't think social media is good for relationships because sometimes people get the wrong understanding.
Mhm.
And the understanding should be between the two people that's involved
Yeah.
and not the whole
World.
Well, I think it depends on your values, right? So if you realize social media, like you said, is an illusion for what it is, it's not going to have any type of impact on your relationship, right?
Right.
It's social media. We can sit here and laugh at these goofies together, right?
Yeah. We had a
But-
caller last week that said the same thing. That's what her and her husband
Yeah,
does.
you sit and laugh at the goofies together. But if your value system is not deeply rooted into something of substance,
Yes.
then yeah, it's not going to be good at all because you're trying to model it after something, like you said, that doesn't even really exist.
Right. And that was one of the things I said today. But it's interesting also, Noel, because we have all the different type of relationships. Men on men is prevalent now, and women on women is prevalent now. And then you got the heterosexual relationships, and that's another challenge for you in school
Mhm.
with the girls, because the girls basketball teams have been known from high school all the way up to have relationships. What's the girl name that just came back from Russia? They locked her up.
Brittany Griner.
Yeah, and then she's married.
Somebody in
And
Maywood just came back from Russia? I was lost for a second. Go ahead.
Brittany.
All right, Brittany, we talking about you now. So and then the support that she got from her wife or whatever the case might be. I mean, how do you explain that to kids nowadays? How do
they explain it to us? We don't have to explain this stuff to these kids. They
Okay.
know more than we do.
They
Yeah.
really do.
They do. And conversations should be happening in the homes.
It's true.
I'm here to stand in the gap, but I shouldn't be the primary teacher
Source.
of morals and values, right?
Yeah,
This
but
is-
see, sometimes that relationship at the house.
Yeah. I was
Oh
gonna say
yeah,
that.
and that's why I said, and I'm here to stand in the gaps. I mean, that's such a touchy subject, right? Because then you have to get down into people's belief systems. Everybody doesn't believe the same thing,
Right.
right? But I think we can all handle each other with dignity and respect. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's my approach to everything. And it's no different in approaching those type of relationships. So,
Yeah, but you know what the funniest thing was? When she went on prom with Steve Hunter.
why is that so funny? That was my boyfriend at the
I
time.
know, but listen,
Listen, we are the original Love and Basketball.
yeah, y'all are, but
That's what's up.
he was way up here and she was down here. I was like,
And look,
oh my
and I
God.
had on 4-inch heels
Oh wow.
and came to his navel. It was just
And
so
see-
He was
bad.
almost 7 feet.
Oh, he was 7
Yeah.
feet. Wasn't no almost. And then this is when he was at Garfield. I was the dare teacher at Garfield. And Steve couldn't sit up under his desk.
No,
He
his
had to
knees
sit
was
to
too
the
high.
sideways.
Yeah, his knees was
And
too
look,
high.
And so I'm happy for you too, Steve.
Steve Hunter.
Shout out to Steve Hunter.
Shout out to Steve Hunter. But that's very interesting. Now, we come to a place in the show where I would ask you, what advice will you give your girls, that's in the feeder program, as well as the students that you're coaching right now? What advice would you give them, or any basketball girls, coaches, or whatever the case might be,
As it relates to
playing basketball?
I think it's something that first and foremost you have to want it for yourself.
Okay.
I've run into a lot of situations where the parents wanted it more than the kids. They were out there trying to please them and make them happy. So it's something that you have to want for yourself. And then you have to be committed and dedicated, right? And you have to be committed to the commitment, because the feeling that you had, the passion that you had when you made that decision is not going to always be there, right? Sometimes it's going to fade. Sometimes you're not going to feel like going to practice. I don't feel like running. But you can't always base it off of how you feel, right? You have to push past that and stick to the commitment and be dedicated, because it's so competitive nowadays. It was a lot easier when I came out of high school to get a D1 scholarship. Now you got transfer portals and JUCOs and all of that. And your competitor is hungry.
Right.
They out there going for it. Right. And it takes more than just getting in the gym with coach at practice.
Yeah.
Like, you need a trainer. You need extra reps. You need to be getting in the gym. You need to take care of your body. You put down hot Cheetos and Takis and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Drink water.
Okay.
Right. And just like I said, just stay committed to the commitment. It's a lot of people out here competing for very few spots. So how do you differentiate yourself from the rest of the competition?
Right. It's interesting you say. I mean, I got all kind of stories or whatever the case might be. I remember Shannon and Sterling are 10 years apart. One was born in 85 and one was born in 95. And Sterling watched everything that Shannon was doing, and he kind of had an advantage.
Yeah.
Because he saw it for himself. He lived with it at home till Shannon went away to Michigan State. And it's interesting when you're trying to do it by yourself, because Shannon did it by herself.
Trial and error.
You know what I'm saying? And as a parent, I would say the best thing to do is support your child.
Absolutely.
And is that you can't do it. If this is what they want to do, if this is their passion, they're going to do it. Shannon used to walk from my house, 2000 block of 7, to Proviso East on his tiptoes, because he always wanted to dunk.
And he used to carry me around the school on his back, on his tiptoes.
So it's funny how the game go and how things is changing. From the bottom of my heart, baby girl, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for, giving us your time. You got a lot of things going on. And I think you got a sale, Fallout sale, don't you?
I do.
Tell us about that.
At Goddess Accessories, Toya did come and support me this
Hottest
past
goddess.
week. Yes, jewelry, purses, clothes, shoes. I got pretty much everything. Anything that's an accessory, Goddess Accessory has it. And I got a $5 to $30 sale going on. I'm there Tuesday through Saturday from 2 to 7. My location is 709 South 5th Avenue in Maywood, Illinois.
There you go. What you gonna close us out with? What you got to say?
I got a question for Noelle.
Yeah.
This is what I've always wanted to ask coaches.
Ooh.
Okay.
Because you've been a player, so to me, this would resonate. How do you drown out all the background noise? You got you as a coach giving instruction to your team. You got the parents in the stands giving.
Play my daughter. Play my
You
daughter.
got the opposing team. It's just a bunch of noise. Like, how do you position yourself, one, as a player to drown that out, and two, as a coach, to both drown that out as well?
As a player, when you're out there, you're in the moment. And I can remember, for me, a lot of times I was in the zone. So not only was I drowning out the noise, most of the time I was probably drowning out my coaches.
Right.
I do not recommend that any of my players drown me out. But
Well, Phil said today that his coaches was his problem, and he wasn't thinking right. I'm gonna leave that alone.
yeah, I'm not gonna touch it. I mean, that man lived his experience,
Yes.
and I believe
So,
him.
but you drown your coaches out too, though.
I mean,
Organically, that's gonna happen.
organically it happens,
sometimes.
and so now as a coach, because I've been a player,
Right.
I also realize that when I'm standing on the sideline coaching, I have a different perspective and vantage point from when I'm out there playing, right? So if I see something and I don't understand why my player did it, instead of fussing and yelling it, a lot of times I ask them why. And initially when I employed that approach, I would just get blank stares because I think they thought that I was just, why did you do that? No, I'm like, I'm serious. I want to know why, because I need to correct your thought process. I can tell you what all day long, but if I don't correct your why, we'll just keep doing it. But to get back to that question, as a coach, I'm in the zone. Only thing I'm working about is working these officials, making sure my girls are okay. I'm not concerned with what the people in the stands are saying.
Right.
And I think as players, kids have a very good knack for tuning stuff out. So
Yes.
Well, I mean, and
unfortunately,
the game should be natural.
it should.
So a coach shouldn't be too hard.
they should. I shouldn't hear your voice every sequence of
Yeah.
every play.
Yeah.
You should have worked all of that out in practice.
Yeah. Well, once again, sweetheart, I love you, and you know from the bottom of my heart. As we leave, let's please have the Brown family in mind and spirit. Hopefully they work this situation out, and it's no good or no bad. I mean, no, it's not a good situation no matter how it goes. But at the end of the day, from the love movement and from Noel, as we always say, treat people the way you want to be treated and never give up. Thank you.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Yeah, we put it down.
You might turn your phone on silent.
Just got dressed, need something to get into. Pretty girl on deck.